sometimes I feel like this book is taking on a life all its own. Today I have been editing and rereading chapter after chapter of the story and making notes and just sort of gathering information about how I want to proceed with launching the book and marketing and that kind of thing, and just making sure that I am able to understand what I wrote as well as do the editing that I know how to do before I can send it off to my friend who is editing the majority of the book for me. And I don't even know what prompted me to search again, to do a little bit more research, but I ended up uncovering newspaper stories with Gabriel's name in them, and it uncovered a wealth of information that I didn't have about him before, including a photo of him 2 years before his diagnosis with bipolar. And it's such an interesting space to be in. Emotionally, it brought up a lot of things for me, but it is also just this sort of space that I am being very introspective and reflective in. And it's just, I think more than anything, it's just a sensation that I'm not used to having, as sort of pieces of the puzzle sort of fall in a little bit more in place, but then other areas sort of open up and leave more questions. And so that sort of leaves this a sort of sense of a void in me, kind of trying to figure out a little bit more. So yeah, it's a strange combination of the satisfaction of knowing more, and then this opening up of other questions. So as I'm looking through all these articles and capturing the tidbits of information about different foundations that his music helped support, and different organizations and other sort of communities that he funded with his music, and then also like things that he said, and learning more about him specifically, which I always find so delightful, because I'm always so interested to know more about who he was. I know him from my own experience, but to hear other people talk about Gabriel in their own words and with their own expression, it's such a gift to me to be able to learn more and more about him. Whether or not that'll be included in the book is still to be determined, but I mean, a lot of it is just purely for my own interest's sake, right? But I'm looking through all these articles, and I get a phone call from a number that I didn't recognize, but the person on the end of the line was so friendly, and it was like she knew me. And she was calling from the Canadian Association for Mental Health, CMAH, as she called it. And I had at some point checked a box on some website supporting, the work that they do. And so we talked about that further. But the timing of the conversation was so poignant. It was so, what's the word? Like, there was so much synchronicity in the timing of her call to ask me, what my values were around mental health, and how important it was, or it is, for me to educate and share and teach others about the conversations that we should be having around mental health, and opening up that discussion. And the real incredible part of the conversation was that I was able to share, the work that I'm doing in my story with her. And this woman said that she herself was impacted by suicide because her father had passed about 10 years ago from suicide. And so, yeah, I met another suicide survivor over the phone today, and she said in the work that she does, she's campaigning for them, and she says everybody that she's talked to in the 6 months that she's been working there, everybody that she has talked to knows someone who has died by suicide. And I think that says so much about the staggering statistics that there are around mental health. The other number that stands out for me is she said that only 7% of the Canadian healthcare budget is specifically allotted to mental health. And with everything that's going on in our society right now, the Canadian Association of Mental Health has had such an increase in calls, an increase in people looking for support for mental health, that there is definitely a huge shift that is happening, a huge awareness that needs to take place in terms of how we support mental health in our health system, and how we have discussions about it, how we open up about it, how we create a safe space for other people to talk about it by talking about it ourselves and sharing our own experiences with mental health. And so much of what I talk about in Celebrate Your Grief goes into my own experiences with depression and what I've learned about the mindset around depression, and how we can use our thoughts and able to move us either deeper into depression or out of depression. And one of the exciting things that this woman shared with me on the phone was some of the progress that the Canadian Association for Mental Health and the research and development that they're doing to help battle depression. It is groundbreaking and super exciting to me to hear about such successful applications of treatments that aren't necessarily just medical or medicated treatments, but I don't even know what she called it, but she said there's a new type of therapy that you can just go in on your lunchtime and get a little magnetic wave treatment done, and it completely changes the way that the neurons are firing in your brain to help bring you out of that depression and function at a higher level. And just the possibility of that is so thrilling to me, to know that that's such a available treatment for us now in this age. Because like I told her, in the research that I've done specifically around bipolar disorder, it seems like treatments as available as they are, it takes a long time to be able to get into a set of find medications and therapies and exercise and diet that fit a person's needs to be able to treat them. And it can take years to figure out the right combination and the right balance of things in order to have that lifestyle that's functional and working for the person. And in Gabriel's case, that wasn't something that worked for him either, right? So to know that there are options out there that are, again, so simple and readily available and effective, I find that so very much exciting. So anyways, I'm just rambling on because I'm just blown away by the sequence of events this morning. Oh, I guess it's not this morning, this afternoon. And it's just a really important place for Celebrate Your Grief, because the conversations and the information coming at me is completely supportive of this book and of it being shared with people and helping people on their own grief and mental health journeys. And reaching out to other suicide survivors who may be in need of a story similar to theirs to be able to help them open up and heal too. So go to CMAH.ca if you're interested in becoming a change agent, as they call us, and support the programs that are in place for mental health in your area. And yeah, let's keep the conversation going. I want to know your story.